Hello to all you curious minds, and welcome back to another episode of Deep Dive. What if I told you there's a hidden button, a secret cheat code buried in the software of life? A code that could stop time for our bodies, hold incurable diseases at bay, and even get us to Mars. By the end of this video, you will understand how a sleepy bear holds the key to the greatest medical and space exploration revolution in human history. But to uncover this secret, we have to start our journey in a dimly lit room in Pittsburgh, a place where a human is voluntarily turning into a bear. Imagine you're on a 9-month journey to Mars. Outside, there's the infinite vacuum and deadly cosmic radiation. Inside, there's a cramped, monotonous space with a few crewmates who get more irritable by the day. Your food is limited, your oxygen is limited, and every extra gram you carry costs millions of dollars in fuel. The common belief is that the biggest challenge of traveling to Mars is building powerful rockets. But the truth is, the biggest obstacle is us, the fragile, high-maintenance human body. NASA has been grappling with this problem for years. Space radiation is 200 times greater than on Earth and can destroy an astronaut's health. So, what's the solution? How can we keep this vulnerable biological machine alive on the longest journey in human history? The answer comes down to one word: shutdown. In the Applied Physiology Lab at the University of Pittsburgh, a perfectly healthy volunteer is lying on a bed. Dr. Clifton Calloway describes his state as a twilight kind of sleep. It's been 18 hours since a drug was administered to suppress his body's natural shivering response. His internal temperature has dropped from 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit to 95 degrees Fahrenheit. His heart rate and blood pressure have fallen, and his metabolism, the engine of his body, has slowed by 20%. But here's the amazing part: he can still get up, walk to the bathroom, and if he gets hungry, ring a bell to ask for food. He's a simulated astronaut who has put his body into power-saving mode without needing complex machines. As Dr. Calloway says, just like a bear, this NASA-backed trial is humanity's first step toward mimicking an ancient and magical phenomenon: hibernation. If we can put astronauts into such a state, not only will they be saved from the boredom and psychological stress of a long journey, but their need for food and oxygen will plummet. Early research even suggests that a slowed metabolism could protect the body against cosmic radiation. Angelique van Ombergen, a chief scientist at the European Space Agency, calls radiation the big showstopper for reaching Mars. So, hibernation isn't just a sci-fi trope for movies, it's the real key to unlocking the solar system. But that's just the beginning of the story, because the journey to Mars is only one small outcome of this massive discovery. The true power of hibernation could revolutionize life here on Earth. When an animal enters hibernation, or torpor, its body enters a miraculous state. Body temperature plummets, metabolism nearly halts, and a host of other incredible and fully reversible changes occur. Dr. Calloway reminds us of a medical principle. At low temperatures, the body tolerates a lack of oxygen and blood flow better and for longer. Just for 5 seconds, imagine what we could do if we had this power. Consider a heart attack patient. When blood flow is restored to the heart, that very rush of oxygen causes severe inflammation and cell death, known as reperfusion injury. But what if we could instantly put the patient's body into a state of hibernation? This damage would be minimized. The golden window to save a stroke or heart attack victim would expand from minutes to hours. This means saving millions of lives. But how? How do bears sleep for months without their muscles wasting away, while a patient in an ICU can lose 10% of their muscle mass in a single week? How does their blood not clot with such a slow heart rate, and what flips the switch to begin with? To find the answers, we must go to the true masters of this art. On a sunny afternoon in late March, at the Washington State University Bear Research Center, a female grizzly named Keo, with a shaggy coat and 4-inch claws, struggles to chew a marshmallow. Aside from a serious case of bedhead, there are no outward signs of the profound metamorphosis happening inside her body. 10 days ago, Keo woke up from her 5-month slumber. The first thing she did was consume a feast of elk bones and apples. Then, she passed a fecal plug made of dead cells and hair that had blocked her intestines for months. These 3 simple acts, waking, eating, and pooping, have activated a series of microscopic genetic switches inside her. Her metabolism, which was running at 1/4 of its normal speed, has now doubled. Her body temperature, which was about 12 degrees below normal, is rising. 2 of her heart's 4 chambers, which were nearly shut down for the winter, are back in business. And most bizarrely of all, her fat cells, which were miraculously resistant to insulin for months, are once again responding to the hormone. This insulin resistance in bears is a miracle. In humans, insulin resistance leads to diabetes, but bears can turn this trait on and off like a light switch depending on the season, with no ill effects. If we can understand how they do it, we might find a way to treat or even reverse diabetes in humans. Scientists are extracting stem cells from bear blood at different times of the year, meticulously studying gene by gene to find this genetic switch. And it's not just diabetes. Consider Kyo's heart. During hibernation, her heart rate drops from around 90 beats per minute to just 10. If this happened to us, our blood would form deadly clots, causing a stroke. But in bears, the number of blood clotting platelets dramatically decreases, preventing this catastrophe. But perhaps Kyo's most astonishing secret is hidden in her muscles. After 5 months of total inactivity, she wakes up as fit as if she'd spent the entire winter running and hunting. This phenomenon was so strange that when two scientists at the University of Alaska, Vadim Fedorov and Anna Goropashnaya, first encountered it, they couldn't believe the results. 20 years ago, while studying tissue samples from black bears, they expected to find that the genes responsible for building muscle were switched off during hibernation to save energy. But the results were the exact opposite. The genes were not only active, but they seemed to be working overtime. We checked it several times, says Anna Goropashnaya. We couldn't believe it. The findings seemed illogical, but they were correct. The bear's body, while starving, was busy building new muscle. But how is that possible? Where do the raw materials come from? One fascinating theory suggests that instead of producing urine, bears recycle the nitrogen in urea, and special gut microbes convert this nitrogen into amino acids, the building blocks of new muscles. If we can find the master gene that turns on this muscle-building factory, ICU patients would no longer waste away, and astronauts could build muscle while resting on their journey to Mars. So far, our story has been about mimicking animals. We've looked at bears to steal their secrets. But what if I told you we've been looking in the wrong place all along? What if this incredible power isn't some alien ability unique to other animals, but an ancient dormant circuit within our own brains? This is where the story takes a stunning turn. Around the same time, scientists in America were studying bears and squirrels on the other side of the world in Bologna, Italy. A graduate student named Domenico Tupone was working on an ordinary lab rat. His goal wasn't to study hibernation, he just wanted to identify the brain circuits that control body temperature. His team suspected a small patch of neurons at the base of the rat's brain. They temporarily deactivated these neurons with an injection and placed the rat in a cold cage. As they expected, the rat's body temperature plummeted. But then, something strange happened. 6 hours later, the hypothermic rat was still alive. When they took it out and warmed it up, it behaved completely normally, as if nothing had happened. But the true eureka moment came when his colleague, Matteo Seri, looked at the brainwaves recorded from the rat's head. The patterns looked familiar. He had seen them before, in hibernating animals. But there was one crucial difference. Lab rats do not naturally hibernate. It was a lightning bolt of realization. If a non-hibernating animal could be induced into this state by tweaking its brain, could humans be too? This discovery changed the course of research forever. The secret of hibernation is a hidden software in the operating system of all mammals, including us. We've just forgotten the password. The race was now on to find that password, or rather, its chemical key. In Alaska, another scientist named Kelly Drew was studying the ultimate grandmaster of hibernation, the Arctic ground squirrel. These tiny rodents can drop their body temperature to near freezing, slow their heart rate to 5 beats per minute, and survive for months in sub-zero conditions. In the early 2000s, Drew persuaded the US military to fund her search for the brain chemicals that trigger hibernation in these squirrels. Her idea was that if she could find that chemical, she could develop a drug to rapidly cool wounded soldiers on the battlefield and save their lives. The breakthrough came in 2005. A student in her lab stumbled upon a paper from a Japanese lab that had discovered a drug that woke up hibernating hamsters by blocking a brain chemical called adenosine. Adenosine is the same chemical that the caffeine in your coffee blocks to keep you awake. Drew assigned a graduate student to inject a synthetic version of adenosine directly into the squirrel's brains. When the student did it in the summer, nothing happened. But when he tried again closer to hibernation season, the squirrel fell into such a deep torpor that the student initially thought he had killed it. He sadly took the animal to the vet for an autopsy, but just as the vet was about to make the first incision, the seemingly dead ball of fur started to move. They had done it. They had found the switch. Today, all these story threads are coming together. The circuit Tupone found in the rat's brain, the miraculous abilities we saw in the bear's body, and the chemical key Drew discovered in the squirrel. They are all pieces of one giant puzzle. The dream of creating a hibernation mimetic drug, one that can be injected intravenously to instantly put a human body into a protective state, is no longer science fiction. It is a real and attainable goal. A drug that could be given in an ambulance to a stroke victim, saving their brain cells from dying. A drug that could help cancer patients endure harsher chemotherapy. A drug that could send astronauts safely to the stars. Our journey began with a dream of reaching Mars, but it led us deep into our own DNA. We were looking to the stars for a way to survive, unaware that the most powerful survival tool was hidden inside us all along. This story reminds us that nature, through millions of years of evolution, has already found solutions to the most complex problems. Perhaps humanity's greatest future discoveries won't come from inventing new things, but from unlocking the potentials already built into our existence. As Carl Sagan said, somewhere, something incredible is waiting to be known, and sometimes, that somewhere is right inside ourselves. Thank you so much for joining us to the end of this video. We at Deep Dive are a family of curious minds, and your presence gives us energy. We love you guys. If you could use this hibernation technology for one thing, what would it be? A journey to another star, or curing a disease on Earth? Let us know your answer in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to join us on our next journey of discovery. Perhaps the next time you look up at a starry sky, you'll remember that the greatest wonders of the cosmos are sometimes hidden in the silence of a sleeping cell. Until the next video, stay curious.